"You'll only be leaving here feet first," the man shouted, snatched my phone, and locked me in the country house without food or water. He and his mother took off to a resort, leaving me to die. But he didn't know there was one thing in this house he'd missed. 24 hours later, he got a message from me. He dropped everything and raced back, howling with fear. Hello, dear listeners. If you enjoy my stories, please subscribe to the channel, hit like, and tell me in the comments which country you're listening from. I always love reading that. And now, enjoy the story. Maya hitched the heavy bag of seedlings higher on her shoulder and drew in the damp spring air with pleasure. Late May in the Moscow suburbs was her favorite time of year. Everything breathed life, swelling buds on the old apple trees, that piercing green grass pushing through last year's leaves, and the incomparable scent of warmed soil. Her dacha, her little fortress, her refuge. Here, far from the city buzz, she felt truly free. The house wasn't just timber and brick. It was part of her soul. Her grandfather had started it, and her father, Richard, had finished it, pouring into it all his laconic but solid love. Every board, every nail held the warmth of his hands. Her father, a retired Special Forces colonel, was a stern, quiet man, but for his only daughter, he would do anything. He'd taught her to tell edible mushrooms from poisonous ones, to light a fire with a single match, and to never give up. "Maya, are you sure we should go today?" Her husband Stan's voice pulled her from the pleasant memories. He stood by the open trunk of their crossover, eyeing the gathering clouds. "Forecast says rain." "So what?" Maya smiled, setting crates of petunias on the ground. "The air will be clean. And we've planned this weekend for so long. I want to finally plant the flowers." Stan sighed but didn't argue. In 3 years of marriage, he'd grown used to her love of gardening, though he didn't share it. For him, an up-and-coming IT manager, the dacha was a place for cookouts with friends, not for creating a living space. But he loved Maya, or at least she wanted to believe he did, and he tried not to get in the way of her hobbies as long as they didn't require too much of him. Their relationship, which began as a dazzling office romance, had settled into a calm, measured river. Warm evenings, shared dreams, quiet tenderness. But in that river lurked one hidden rock that kept smashing their little family boat. Stan's mother, Tammy. A retired bookkeeper with a grip of steel and unshakable faith in her own rightness, she'd disliked her daughter-in-law from the start. "No backbone," Maya had once overheard Tammy tell a friend on the phone. "Head in the clouds with her little flowers." "My Stanny needs a more serious wife." Stan's phone rang. From the way his face tightened, Maya knew who it was. "Yeah. Hi, Mom. We're getting ready." "No, just the two of us." He stepped aside and lowered his voice. Maya pretended to be busy loading things, but she couldn't help listening. The call was brief. He came back wearing the guilty expression she knew too well. "Mom asked me to pick her up. She wants to come with us. Says the city air is stuffy and her blood pressure's acting up." "Stan, we agreed to spend the weekend alone." Disappointment crept into Maya's voice. "I've been looking forward to this." "Maya, you know my mom. She won't let up. She says she'll help with the seedlings. She's just lonely." Maya swallowed a heavy sigh. Tammy's loneliness was her main weapon. She lived by herself in a spacious 2-bedroom, surrounded by friends, sang in a seniors' choir, and took computer classes, yet at every chance complained to her son about her misery and neglect. And Stan believed her, or pretended to, because arguing with his mother was more trouble than it was worth. "Fine," Maya gave in, feeling her anticipation of a peaceful weekend evaporate. "Pick her up. But let's agree on one thing. She stays away from my flower beds. Remember last year?" Stan winced. Last time, Tammy had taken initiative and weeded out a bed of rare phlox, mistaking them for, well, weeds. It had taken everything in Maya not to burst into tears. "I'll talk to her," he promised without much confidence. An hour later, they pulled up to Tammy's building. She was waiting on a bench with an impressive array of bags and bundles. "Finally! I thought you'd forgotten me. Stanny, help your mother." She was dressed in a bright tracksuit that didn't match her severe expression. Giving Maya a once-over, she pursed her lips. "Still wearing those jeans, I see." "The dacha isn't for showing off. It's for practical clothes." Maya kept quiet, handing Stan a sack of home-canned pickles. Arguing was pointless. In Tammy's world, there were only two opinions, hers and the wrong one. The drive was tense, broken only by Tammy's monologues about rising prices, incompetent clinic doctors, and how the upstairs neighbor had flooded her bathroom again. When they finally pulled into their lot, relief washed over Maya. This was her world. The neat lawn, the stone-laid paths, the alpine rock garden she'd slaved over last summer, the house, her haven. "What a mess you've got here!" Tammy's voice sounded behind her as she hopped out and began an instant inspection. "Peonies are covered in aphids. The roses need pruning." "Is this how you keep a garden?" Maya clenched her fists, but said nothing. She turned to politely, yet firmly ask Tammy not to interfere, and saw the gazebo. Without waiting for an invitation, Tammy had already set her bags on Maya's beloved wicker love seat like a lady of the manor. Her first line on Maya's turf wasn't a comment. It was a declaration of power. "That geranium has to go," she sniffed, poking a lavish bloom. "Filthy plant. We'll put parsley there instead. Practical and good for your health." Stan, unloading the trunk, pretended not to hear. Maya understood. The weekend would be another stress test. She didn't yet know it would be the last. Evening didn't bring the peace Maya hoped for. Tammy had made it her mission to prove her indispensability. She criticized Maya's dinner. Too much oil, bad for Stan's liver. Rearranged the kitchen cabinets. "More ergonomic, dear. Learn." And rejected the bed linens. "Synthetic. Ruins your health. Good thing I brought my own." As usual, Stan tried to smooth things over. "Mom, stop nitpicking." "It's all good." Maya tried. "I'm not nitpicking, son. I'm caring." Tammy parried, heaping the biggest piece of chicken onto his plate. "Who'll look after you if not your mother?" Maya ate her salad in silence, feeling like a stranger at this feast of maternal love. After dinner, she retreated to her room on the pretext of fatigue, leaving Stan alone with his mother. Lying in bed, she heard their muffled voices. Tammy spoke animatedly. Stan inserted short replies. The helplessness and loneliness made her sick. She remembered 2 years ago when they'd finished the main round of renovations and her father, Richard, had come to see the house. He'd paced the rooms, inspecting every corner. Maya had been nervous, knowing how strict he was about safety. "Everything okay, Dad?" she'd asked as he stopped by the old bookcase in the living room. "Almost," he said, rapping his knuckles on the back panel. "Cell service is bad here. The tower's too far. If something happens, you won't reach emergency services." "Dad, what could happen?" Maya laughed. "This isn't the wilderness. We've got neighbors. Neighbors are good." He didn't smile. "But always count on yourself." He returned the next day with a toolbox and some complicated equipment. In a few hours, he'd built a small hidden compartment in the cabinet and installed a satellite phone. "Here," he showed her the secret latch. "Your safety net. Works anywhere. My number and your mother's are in memory. Remember where it is, and tell no one. Not even Stan. Why the cloak and dagger?" she'd asked. "The fewer who know, the safer it is," Richard said flatly. "Men come and go. Family stays. Just know it's here. For emergencies." Back then, it had felt like overkill. His military paranoia. But tonight, listening to her mother-in-law coo through the wall, Maya thought maybe he hadn't been so wrong. Morning noise woke her. Tammy was busily rearranging the living room. "Good morning," she chirped, nearly knocking over a floor lamp. "Refreshing the interior." "That sofa looks awful by the window. Please don't touch anything," Maya said wearily. "I like it as it is." "What do you know?" Tammy waved her off. "Your taste is provincially rustic. I studied art. The chair goes here, TV to that corner. Call it Provence." Sleepy Stan appeared in the doorway. "What's with the racket?" "Your mom decided to redecorate," Maya said dryly, waiting to see whose side he'd take. "Ah, maybe it'll be better. Need help, Mom?" Cold spread in Maya's chest. He hadn't even tried to back her up. Her house, her things, none of it mattered. His mother's word was law. The rest of the day passed in a fog. Maya fled to the garden for solace in soil, but the noise inside kept dragging her thoughts back. Tammy issuing orders, furniture scraping, excited talk about new curtains and repainting walls. By evening, the living room was unrecognizable, stripped of Maya's beloved knickknacks, old framed photos, her grandmother's embroidered doilies, and the little ceramic angels. In their place stood severe vases and sets of matching binders Tammy had brought. "There," Tammy said proudly, admiring her work. "Stylish and modern." Not that petty bourgeois clutter. Maya stared at the cold, foreign space. Where are my photos? She asked softly. Oh, I boxed them up, Tammy said breezily. Up in the attic crawl space. No need for dust collectors on display. That evening, alone with Stan, Maya tried to talk. I can't do this anymore. This is my house. Your mother acts like she owns it. She's just trying to help, he started in his usual conciliatory tone. Help whom? Herself. She threw out what mattered to me. You're exaggerating. They're just things. Peace in the family is what matters. Peace? Maya laughed bitterly. You call it peace when I must silently watch a stranger destroy my home and life? She's not a stranger. She's my mother. Stan raised his voice. And I'm your wife, Maya snapped. Or did you forget? They argued until they were hoarse and got nowhere. Stan refused to see anything but care in his mother's actions. Any protest from Maya he took as disrespect. The next day, before leaving, Tammy delivered her final blow. Standing on the porch, surveying the lot, she mused, You know, son, I've been thinking. Your deck is terrible. Old boards, leaky roof. Needs a full redo. We're saving for it, Mom, Stan said. Saving, she snorted. What if I help? I've got some savings. Hire a good crew. Do it properly. I even sketched a plan. Not just a deck, a glazed summer veranda with a fireplace, Maya tensed. There's no free cheese outside a mousetrap. That's generous, she said carefully. But we'll manage ourselves. Don't be so proud, dear. Tammy smiled condescendingly. I'm doing this for you. Imagine evenings here. Tea. I'd even bring my favorite samovar. She spoke as if she already saw herself as mistress of that future veranda. Maya realized this wasn't help. It was the next step in Tammy's territorial takeover. She didn't yet know the price Tammy would demand, but she could feel it wouldn't end well. Back in the city, their rented two-bedroom felt like another prison. If Tammy reigned at the dacha, her spirit haunted their apartment in the form of endless calls and advice. Tammy phoned Stan 5 times a day to ask if he'd eaten, worn a scarf, taken vitamins. Maya buried herself in work, landscape design projects that let her craft harmony in others' yards while her own family fell out of tune. A week after the dacha trip, the call came, this time to Maya. Hi, dear. Tammy's voice dripped honey. Am I interrupting? Hello, Tammy. I'm a bit busy, Maya said, scanning blueprints. Just a minute. We need to meet. Today, 7 o'clock, at the chocolate cafe near your office. I can't. Client meeting. Cancel, Tammy said flatly. This is more important. It concerns our shared future. Those last words both intrigued and alarmed Maya. She agreed, pushing the client to tomorrow. Tammy was already at a window table with coffee and cake. Order something, dear. My treat, she said magnanimously. Maya asked for green tea. So, what did you want to discuss? Maya asked once the waiter left. Health, Maya. Health, Tammy sighed, breaking cake with a small silver spoon. The years take their toll. Doctors insist on a spa, joints, nerves. They recommended a wonderful sanatorium in Kislovodsk. Maya listened, unsure where this was going. All would be well, Tammy continued, but the voucher costs money. Real money. 350,000 rubles. Maya almost choked on her tea. That's very expensive. Exactly, Tammy nodded. My pension won't cover it. So I thought, what about you two? She paused, watching Maya. I know you've been saving for the deck. About that amount. Stan told me. Maya's breath caught. You're asking us to give you that money? Give is such a crude word, Tammy grimaced. I'd say invest in a mother's health. Isn't that more important than boards and nails? Maya stared, stunned. Tammy wanted their entire nest egg, the only sizable sum they'd saved in 3 years, for her spa trip. Tammy, we can't, Maya said firmly. We saved for a specific purpose. And it's our joint money. I can't decide alone. Talk to Stan. Tammy smiled slyly. He'll understand. Health is sacred. He's a good, caring boy. The conversation was over. That evening, Tammy indeed called her son, presenting it, as Maya expected, to her advantage. Stan came home late, brooding. Mom called, he said without a hello. I know. We met. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to talk to you first. Stan, this is absurd. She wants our savings. She's asking, not demanding, he corrected. For treatment, not luxury. Her joints really hurt, and our roof really leaks, Maya snapped. Miss this season, and we'll replace half the beams next year. Twice the cost. They stood in the kitchen, tension thick enough to cut. Maya, it's my mom, Stan pleaded. She raised me, sacrificed everything. Can't we help? Help, yes. But not at the cost of our future. We can find a cheaper sanatorium or pay for procedures in the city. But 350,000? Madness. She wants Kislovodsk, says only there they can help. And I want a deck, Maya shouted. I want a corner of the world that isn't falling apart. I have a right to my desires too. I'll talk to her again, he muttered. The next day, Tammy called him and staged a meltdown, sobbing that ungrateful children had left her to die, that she'd sacrificed her life, and now they begrudged her a sip of healing water. That evening, Stan came home wrecked. I can't listen to her, he said, collapsing on the couch. My heart is breaking. She's manipulating you, Maya said quietly, sitting beside him. Even if she is, she's my mother. I can't refuse her. Silence stretched. Fine, Maya said after a long pause. Do what you want, but understand, this is your decision, and the responsibility is yours. The next day, Stan emptied their savings. He laid a stack of receipts on the table. Transfer confirmed. Maya didn't look. She stood up and walked out. Inside, nothing. Not hurt, not anger, just a cold, engulfing emptiness. He'd made his choice, and there was no room for her in it. A few days later, Tammy, radiant and rejuvenated, came to say goodbye before leaving. She brought cake and expensive champagne. Don't think ill of me, she trilled, pouring bubbly. I'm off to mend my health. Thank you, son, for not abandoning your mother. She dramatically hugged and kissed Stan, then turned to Maya. Don't worry about the deck, dear. When I'm healthy, everything will follow. I'll help you build it. I surely will. Maya raised her glass in silence, drinking to her ruined future, to stolen dreams, and to the man beside her who turned out to be not a husband, but his mother's son. She didn't yet know this betrayal was only a prelude to catastrophe. After Tammy left, a tense quiet settled over the home. Stan became ostentatiously attentive. Flowers, chores, movie offers, but every gesture rang false. The gulf between them remained. He tried to bury it under roses and compliments like dirt over a fresh grave. Their hard-won money was gone. The dream of a cozy deck where she'd sip morning coffee looking at the garden evaporated like smoke. Each glance at the rotting boards brought a dull ache. It wasn't just a structure. It symbolized their future that wouldn't be. Tammy called daily from Kislovodsk, gushing about Radin baths, great weather, new friends. Not once did she ask how they were or how they'd cope without savings. Her world revolved solely around pleasures bought with her son's family's sacrifice. One day Maya snapped, "Has she asked even once how we'll fix the roof?" she asked after another of Stan's calls. "Maya, don't start," he sighed. "She's on treatment. Why spoil her mood with our problems?" "Our problems," Maya repeated. "They're ours now. She's opted out. She's elderly. She deserves this rest. And we don't deserve a solid home that doesn't leak." "We'll fix it," Stan waved it off. "I'll find extra work." But he didn't. Evenings he hid in bars or video games, fleeing reality and the silent reproach in his wife's eyes. Maya realized she could count only on herself. She took more projects, worked into the night to scrape together money before autumn rains. She felt endlessly alone. Her parents lived in another city, and her father's health was faltering. She called him often just to hear his steady, reassuring voice. She didn't complain or mention Stan and Tammy, but Richard sensed something was wrong. "Hold on, kiddo," he said at the end of each call. "Remember, you always have us. And don't forget your safety net." The thought of the satellite phone hidden in the secret compartment calmed her. It was her plan B, reliable as her father. Tammy returned after 3 weeks, tanned, younger, and full of ideas. "My children, I missed you so much," she proclaimed, showering them with souvenirs. "Kislovodsk is a wonder. I feel 20 years younger gifts for all. A papacha hat and a dagger for Stan, souvenir kitsch, a bright scarf and a jar of honey for Maya." "And now to business," she said, settling into a chair like a general before a decisive battle. "I've gained strength and realized I can't live in this city dust anymore. I need to move to nature, to the dacha Maya froze." "What do you mean?" "Exactly that, dear. I've decided to spend the rest of my days in fresh air. Before leaving, I called a contractor to the dacha and showed him my sketches for rebuilding the deck. He made an estimate. She triumphantly pulled papers from her bag. Everything's calculated. Materials, labor. A bit over $1 million, but worth it. Not just a deck, a full room. My room. Your room, she added with a patronizing nod. Maya felt the ground shift under her. But it's our dacha. Of course yours, Tammy said sweetly. I'll just live with you and help with the house. Isn't family togetherness lovely? Maya looked at Stan. He sat pale, speechless. Stan, did you know? She whispered. Mom said she had ideas, he mumbled. I didn't think it was this serious. More than serious, Tammy confirmed. I even found a crew ready to start tomorrow. Only question is the money. We don't have that kind of money, Maya snapped. We have no money at all, thanks to your treatment. Again with the money, Tammy frowned. How mercenary, Maya. But I've thought of that too. We can sell my apartment. The proposal stunned them both. Sell your apartment? Stan repeated. Yes, son. Why keep it if I'll live with you? We'll sell it. Enough for the addition. A new car for you, and more besides. We'll live together, happy and harmonious. She beamed, certain of her brilliant plan. And Maya saw a predator who had been slowly driving her into a corner. Sell her place, sink the money into their house, and become the unassailable mistress there. A master stroke. I'm against it, Maya said firmly. This is our dacha, and I won't turn it into a boarding house. Oh, so that's your tune, Tammy flared. You won't let a mother across the threshold? I didn't say that. But living together permanently is different. Stanny, do you hear? Your wife is throwing me into the street, Tammy appealed to her son. No one's throwing you out, Mom, Stan intervened. We just need to discuss. They discussed all week. Tammy emptied her arsenal. Tears, reproaches, heart attacks, tales of her hard childhood. Stan bounced between mother and wife, seeking compromise. But his compromise always meant the same thing. Maya, let's just give in. It's my mom. By Friday, Maya felt she couldn't resist anymore. The pressure was crushing. All right, she said that evening when Stan raised the topic yet again. I agree to the addition, on one condition. Which? He asked, hopeful. We go to the dacha this weekend, just the two of us, without your mother. I need time there to think and get used to the idea. He exhaled with relief. Of course, honey. I'll tell Mom we need time alone. She'll understand. Maya doubted it, but didn't argue. A faint, almost crazy hope flickered. That alone, she and Stan might finally speak honestly, that he'd hear her, understand her fears. Saturday morning they set out. The weather was perfect. Stan was cheerful, telling jokes, playing her favorite music. He was happy the conflict seemed over. Maya gazed out the window, uneasy. Something was wrong, a detail out of place, a whisper that this trip wasn't a step toward peace, but a road into a trap. They arrived at noon. Whistling, Stan unloaded groceries, acting as if nothing had happened, as if there had been no heavy talks and ultimatums, as if this was a normal romantic weekend, rather than Maya's last desperate attempt to save their marriage. Let's have lunch and then take a walk, he suggested, hauling bags to the kitchen. Perfect weather. Maya nodded, hollow. Hope for a candid talk faded by the minute. Stan clearly wasn't in the mood for seriousness. He wanted to pretend everything was fine, because once again she'd yielded. They ate on the very deck she dreamed of fixing. The sun was warm. Birds sang. Stan talked about a new project at work, company plans. Maya listened with half an ear, nodding mechanically, her thoughts far away. Where had the attentive, gentle guy gone? When had he become this man deaf to her feelings, for whom his mother's opinion outweighed his wife's? Are you even listening? Stan stopped mid-speech, noticing her distant look. Sorry, drifted off, she murmured. About us, Stan. About what's happening to us. He sighed. The cheer drained away. Maya, I thought we settled this. You agreed to the addition. I didn't agree, she cut in. I said I'd think. And I did, on the whole drive. I don't want your mother living with us. Irritation edged his voice. I thought that was settled. For you, maybe. Not for me. This is my house, Stan. I won't share it with a woman who doesn't respect me and needs to control everything. She's not controlling. She's helping. He raised his voice. She's selling her apartment to invest in our home. You should be grateful. Grateful she's buying herself a place in our lives? Grateful she took our savings and now wants our house? Their voices climbed. You're selfish, Stan shouted, jumping up. You care only about yourself and your flowers. My mother will be nearby, helping, and you don't care. Helping? Maya laughed. She'll command. She already does, throwing out my things, rearranging furniture, deciding what we eat and how we live. And you don't see it, because you're a mama's boy. The words flew out before she could stop them. Stan froze, his face contorting. What did you say? You heard me, she said, standing. Fear slipped away. You can't make a decision without her approval. You're afraid to cross her. You're not a husband. You're an attachment to your mom. Rage flared in his eyes. He stepped toward her. Maya instinctively stepped back. Take it back, he hissed. No, because it's true. His face went oddly calm, scarier than his shout. Fine, he said quietly. If I'm so awful, if my mother's so terrible, maybe you really should be alone. Think he turned and went inside. Was he actually leaving? After a fight like that? He came out minutes later with her phone in his hand. What are you doing? She asked. Helping you think. His voice was icy. No distractions. No calls to friends or parents. He walked to the edge of the deck and hurled her phone into the thick lilacs. Are you crazy? Maya screamed, lunging for the bushes. No, I'm just tired of your hysteria. He blocked her path. You wanted to be alone? You'll enjoy silence and calm. He grabbed her wrist, iron fingers biting her skin. Stan, let go. You're hurting me. I'm leaving now, he went on, ignoring her. I'll be back tomorrow evening. You'll have almost 2 days to cool off and think about your behavior. When I return, I expect an apology. To Mom and to me. I won't apologize, she shouted, struggling. You will, he said with certainty. After you sit here alone, without contact, without food, you'll be very mellow. He dragged her inside. She fought, but his grip was too strong. He shoved her into the living room and did a quick round, checking windows. Iron grills on the first-floor windows, Richard's safety measure against burglars, now trapped her. The upstairs bedroom window had no bars but opened onto slick, sloped metal roofing, suicidal to jump. I cut the landline this morning when you were in the garden, he said with a devilish smirk. Pulled the wire from the pole. Don't bother. Wallet and car keys, he added, plucking them from her bag. You won't need these. He walked to the door. Maya stared, mind refusing to accept the horror. This wasn't her husband. This was a stranger. You can't do this, she whispered. It's illegal. And humiliating my mother is legal? He turned at the door. Consider it a lesson. The lock clicked from the outside. Maya rushed to the window and saw him get in the car. Stan! She pounded the glass. Don't you dare. Open the door. He looked at her with a cold, triumphant smile, started the engine, and rolled through the gate. Only then did the full terror hit. Locked in her own house, without food, without water. He hadn't just left. He'd left her to die. She rattled the door. Solid oak, her father's pride. Now a prison door. She shouted for help, but their lot was on the edge. Neighbors were far, busy with Saturday chores. She checked everything. First floor grills, upstairs drop too risky, the landline dead. He'd planned this. Not a spur-of-the-moment rage, but a calculated plan, and likely not his alone. Tammy's style, corner and break until you submit. And her good, caring son was the willing enforcer. The kitchen tap hissed dry. He'd shut the valve in the locked basement. The fridge was empty. He'd taken the groceries. Only dry goods on shelves. His words echoed. You'll only leave feet first. Did he truly want her to die? Probably not. More likely he wanted to break her will, to have her beg for mercy and greet him with gratitude when he returned, never daring to defy him or his mother again. Anger pushed out the fear. Number. She wouldn't give them that satisfaction. She would fight. She would survive. She walked the house again, this time with focus, searching for any oversight. He didn't know the house like she did. He didn't know all its secrets. He didn't know about the stash. Maya ran to the old bookcase. Fingers found the carved pattern. Press click. The hidden panel slid aside, revealing the niche. The satellite phone lay inside, black and heavy, with a spare battery and the manual. Thank you, Dad, she whispered, hands shaking now from relief. She powered it up. Full charge, solid satellite signal. First contact in memory. Richard. She hit call. Rings. Then his calm, beloved voice. I'm listening. Dad, was all she managed before the tears finally came. It's me. Maya. What happened? Why this number? His voice stayed even, but she heard the alarm. He knew. This phone was only for emergencies. Dad, Stan locked me at the dacha, she sobbed. Alone, no food, no water, no phone. He left, said he'd be back tomorrow night. Richard listened without interruption, a silence scarier than questions. Inside him, she knew, a storm raged. Did he threaten you? He said I'd only leave here feet first, she whispered, and fresh sobs shook her. Understood, he said, his voice turning to ice. Listen carefully. You're inside? Door locked outside? First floor bars, dead landline? Water and power off? Yes. Good. Sit down and calm yourself. You're safe inside. Don't do anything risky. Just wait. Got it? Yes. I'm on my way. 3 to 4 hours, maybe less. I'm bringing a couple of friends. Don't be scared. Keep the phone on you. Don't call anyone, especially him. If he tries to reach you, don't answer. We're coming. He hung up. Relief eased the panic. In its place came the vast pain of betrayal. She curled up in the cold, dark living room, scenes of their life flickering. First meeting, awkward, sincere courtship, wedding, dreams of children, and a big house. How had it become this nightmare? Love died in the instant he hurled her phone into the bushes, when he turned the key from the outside and left her in the dark. Time crawled. Sunset, darkness, cold. She found a blanket and wrapped up. What would her father do? She knew him. No screaming, no scandal. He would act. Hours later, engines on the road. 2 large black SUVs rolled up to the gate. 4 men got out, tall, solid, moving in quiet sync. One was Richard, in camouflage like he was going on a hunt. The others she didn't know, but they looked just as formidable. No knocking. One produced tools. The gate lock yielded in seconds. Vehicles slipped in. Richard signaled the others to fan out, then pulled a set of picks for the front door. Half a minute. Click. The door swung open. Maya, he called softly. Dad, I'm here, she answered from the living room. He found her in the beam of a phone flashlight, pale and tear-streaked. Are you okay? He knelt, searching her eyes, then pulled her into a careful, fierce hug. You're safe now. We're here. Perimeter's clear, reported a bearded man with a scar. Mike. Thanks, Mike. Change the lock. Check the breaker. Let's get lights on. While they worked, Richard took Maya to the kitchen, poured hot sweet tea from a thermos. Sip slowly. Warmth burned her throat in the best way. Where is he now? He asked when she'd steadied. At the airport, probably. They were supposed to fly out tonight. Good. We have time. A younger man in civilian clothes, Dean, came in with a laptop. I pulled everything. Stan's flight in 2 hours out of Sheremetyevo. His last social post shows him in the lounge with champagne. He turned the screen. Stan raising a glass by a panoramic window. Caption, Toward the sun. Well-earned rest. Maya's anger rekindled. He was celebrating while she froze in the dark. Excellent, Richard said, stone-faced. Here's the plan. Dean, you stay here with Maya. Secure the house. Sweep for hidden junk. Mike, Sam, you're with me. He turned to Maya. Kiddo, rest. Shower, eat. We brought food. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Dad, what are you going to do? Fear flickered. Let this slide? Let him believe he can do this to my daughter? No, Maya. People like that need lessons, not revenge, justice. He headed out. We'll be back by morning. Dean's with you. If anything, call the sat phone. The door closed. Dean made tea, checked the house, restored power, brought another blanket, asked no questions. Around midnight, a message pinged on the sat phone from Richard. Don't answer him. Just wait. An hour later, Maya's old cell, rescued from the lilacs, lit up and rang. Dean brought it in. Your husband. Maya looked at the glowing name like a brand and declined the call. He rang again and again. Then a text. Maya, please answer. What's going on? She ignored it. A photo came in from Richard, shot through a scope. Crosshairs centered on Stan's forehead in that same lounge. His face, once smug, was now bloodless. A second text from Richard. Send him this. Nothing else. Maya forwarded the photo and one line. You have 1 hour to come back. Alone, panic exploded on Stan's screen. Dozens of messages. Who are these people? Are you okay? I'm coming right now. Maya said nothing. She sat and waited. The game had begun, and this time she set the rules. The airport buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Thousands of travelers rushing, hugging goodbye, greeting loved ones. In the bright, spacious business lounge, at a table near the panoramic window, Stan sat with his mother, Teresa Anderson. "Well, here's to us, son." She raised a glass of champagne. "To our well-deserved vacation, and to finally putting that little upstart in her place." Stan forced a tight smile and sipped from his own glass. But he couldn't shake the image of Maya pounding on the glass door, her eyes wild. His mother's calm assurance acted like a sedative, but it didn't erase the unease gnawing at him. "You did the right thing," Teresa went on, adjusting the silk scarf around her neck. "A woman like that needs a firm hand, especially one with such an attitude. Let her sit alone for a day or two. She'll come back soft as a lamb and won't mention that damned country house again." At that moment, Stan's phone chimed. He reached for it, expecting some spam notification. Instead, a photo filled the screen. A picture of him taken from far away. The crosshairs of a rifle scope centered on his forehead. His stomach turned to ice. The champagne stuck in his throat. He whipped his head toward the wide glass wall, scanning the crowd beyond, but saw only the faceless blur of travelers moving past. "What's wrong?" Teresa frowned. "Why are you so pale?" Stan silently handed her the phone. "Oh, for heaven's sake," she scoffed after a glance. "Photoshop, obviously. One of your tech buddies trying to be funny." But Stan wasn't laughing. This didn't feel like a joke. It felt too real, too close. A new text flashed on the screen. From Maya. "You have 1 hour. Come back. Alone." "What does this mean?" he whispered, showing his mother. "It's a manipulation," Teresa said quickly, though her voice had lost its edge of certainty. "She must have gotten out or found a phone. She's trying to scare you into coming back. Don't fall for it. We're going on vacation." But Stan wasn't listening. He shot up from his chair, knocking over his glass. Champagne spilled across the table. But he didn't care. He was already dialing Maya's number. Ring after ring. No answer. Again. Nothing. Then he tried her father. The call went straight to voicemail. "Mom, I don't know what's happening, but this isn't a prank," he said, grabbing his carry-on. "I have to go back." "Go back where?" "Are you insane? Our boarding is in 30 minutes. You can't just—" "This isn't about her moods," he snapped, his voice carrying across the lounge. "Did you see that photo? What if someone broke into the house? What if something's happened to her?" "No one broke in," Teresa hissed, trying to make him sit. "She's staging all this to mess with you." "Don't be an idiot, Stan." But the panic had already taken hold. He could feel it in his gut. The message wasn't just a threat. It was a statement. "We see you. We know where you are. We can reach you anytime." And in that moment, he thought of Maya's father, Victor Smith, the ex-Special Forces man whose past was a blank space filled only with whispers about weapons, danger, and missions no one ever spoke of. "I'm not boarding that plane," Stan said flatly, heading for the exit. "Stop. Where are you going?" Teresa scrambled after him. "What about me?" "I can't go alone." "Then don't go." He threw over his shoulder. "Figure it out." "But I don't have enough cash for a solo trip and no return ticket." "That's your problem," he cut her off, not looking back. He bolted from the departure area, shoving through the crowd, fumbling for a rideshare app with trembling fingers. Outside, he spotted a driver pulling away from the curb. "Taxi! I'll pay triple. Just drive." The ride back to the countryside was torture. Stan kept calling Maya and her parents, but no one picked up. Watching the darkened fields and lonely streetlights blur past the window, he prayed this was all a misunderstanding, or at worst, a bad joke. But deep down, he knew. It was payback. When the taxi turned onto the dirt road leading to the house, headlights appeared ahead. 2 large black SUVs blocked the way. Stan's pulse spiked. "No way through," the driver said, slowing to a stop. Stan tossed cash onto the seat and jumped out, running down the road. The closer he got to the property, the heavier the dread in his chest. The gate stood wide open. The front door hung from its hinges. On the porch, 4 men waited, Victor Smith and 3 others. They didn't move. In the glare of the headlights, their faces looked carved from stone.